Parts of the Eastern Cape have also been hit by floods in recent days. Residents now there in some of those areas need humanitarian assistance quite urgently. Let's get an update on the situation on the ground. We're joined by Khuselwa Rantjie, who's the Eastern Cape government spokesperson. A very good afternoon to you, ma'am. Welcome to the program. Let's begin first with you bringing us up to speed with the extent of damage suffered on the ground.
Afternoon, Thembekile. I think, firstly, the extent of the damage at this stage is that there are about 10 schools that have been affected, about clinics that have been affected, and a number of households, more than 700, have been left without their homes because they were destroyed by the floods. We have since had about 2 people that died in the floods, one in Port St. John's and the other one somewhere around Willowvale. It's a situation that is still really bad. You would understand that the rain continued throughout the weekend, so it has been difficult over the weekend to access the areas for the purpose of providing support with just over around 170 of our roads, be it provincial as well as the municipal roads that were inaccessible. So beginning of this week, it's been really a situation of mopping up, clearing the roads, clearing all the debris on the road so that we can be able as government officials to access those areas and bring the necessary support. But it has also started with the assessments and interacting with the communities that have been affected so that we can begin to understand in full the kind of support that they will require from government.
Does the Eastern Cape government, as we speak today, have a ballpark figure as to how much it will likely have to spend to repair the damage?
Not at this stage, Thembekile. The damage is quite significant. As I've mentioned that about 170 of our roads have been affected. Just looking at that, you would think that it would really be a huge number. But our technical teams are still on the ground, supported by relevant institutions like your MISAs to make sure that they conduct their risk assessment as well as be able to quantify how much it would take for government to be able to rebuild some of those areas that are affected. In the main, it's your Joe Gabby District Municipality, your OR Tambo, where in Port St. John's has been one of the most affected local municipalities, as well as parts of Alfredo have also been affected greatly. So we're looking in the next couple of days to be able to say this is how much government will need to be able to rebuild. But engagements have already started with the national sphere of government to begin to present the situation of the Eastern Cape so that we can also start readying ourselves to bring in the relevant support.
Are there areas, Khuselwa, that are still completely inaccessible at this stage?
Not at this stage, Thembekile. The Premier was in the area on Monday and he has been able to access all the areas that we needed to look at. I think all the areas are accessible at this stage, but there are still those areas, Thembekile, where there is a need for government from local level as well as provincial level to engage communities that are living mainly in the floodplains and with a view to influence them to agree to moving in those areas. You would understand that these floods came soon after the January flood. So it's a recurring situation. So it therefore means that we need to really engage our communities and make them aware of some of the areas that are really dangerous for them.
The challenge, of course, with relocating people, as we've seen in other parts of the country, is that if you do move them further away from riverbanks and other areas that are floodplains, where do you move them to, and where does that put them geographically as far as access to work and other services? Do you have land that would be able to put them close enough to those services in order for them to indeed agree to move?
So the local municipality, if we can talk about Port St. John's and referencing that to one of the areas, which is Green Farm, the municipality has been in engagements already with the localities. And then you would understand that just that municipality alone, it's not a very big municipality. So it will not be to move them completely out of reach in terms of access to social or economic social services as well as economic opportunities. So those are some of the issues that government looks at when they intend to move people. Hence, there has to be this kind of engagement. But we understand that at times it becomes really difficult for people when they have been used to staying in specific areas to get them to move. Hence, it's necessary that consultations and in-depth discussions happen between government and communities, and again, the land be identified where they will be moving to.
And what happens in cases where people simply refuse to move for whatever reason? Will they be moved by force?
Thembekile, I think government will have to use all the resources that are necessary to make sure that we protect lives, because critically, that's the one thing that government is looking at. The situation right now is that there are communities that are really living in risky areas, and it's up to government to engage them and convince them to move away from those areas.
Thank you very much. Khuselwa Rantjie from the Eastern Cape government speaking to us there about the floods in the province.